So it's Gary here. I'm down in my favourite place again. Any of you that have seen the last out and about videos, just down in the forest. As we come into the end of the year, once again, come around fast, doesn't it? Just wanted to do a little recap, get a few more things out. I wasn't going to do very many more of these things because I thought to myself, well, as I said in one of my other ones, my other little video clips, that you know, this is the way it is, and the only thing that can change is you, in your idealisms, and the way you conduct yourself and so on. So anyway, down here I'm just about to cut. This is a dead pine. I suppose this is about, I don't know, 40 foot long, something like that, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to cut this up because we're building a new place to grow herbs by the side of the house. So I've come down into the forest. It's been raining non-stop, but if we recap over some of the things over the last, again, 6 months especially, we can continue to see the way that the public is constantly manipulated to think a certain way, and it's also obvious. So of course the old yellow and blue waving flag brigade, they've all disappeared now, and now we've gone over to the blue with the star in the middle waving flag brigade, which is also starting to run its course as well. Again, two major past battlefields that are used like a Hollywood movie set, and still amazed that people can't actually see what's right in front of them. And my brother, bless him, he went out for lunch yesterday and he was watching the news, only because they had it on where he was eating, and he called me up and he goes, I've just watched this so-called Minister of Defence in the light blue flag with the star in the middle country, and he goes, you could see the guy was on a green screen set, you know, it was so obvious. And with my brother's background, he can spot it a mile off now, you know. Again, comes back to this same thing. Why would they need to lie about things and deceive people? Are you prepared to be deceived? Now, we're not saying that people are stupid because they can't see perhaps what some of us see, or whatever, vice versa. But I was talking to my friend's dad the other day, and university lecturer, all that kind of stuff, super intelligent, very little common sense. And I was explaining something to him about the old world history that we've looked into, the old buildings, you know, from around about 1840 up to 1920. How is it even possible to build these buildings that you can't build today with the machinery we've got? And I brought up the subject of Chateau Frontenac in Canada, which is supposedly built in around about a year. This massive building, and even just for the fact that it's got windows in it with glass, where'd they get the glass from? And this is on top of a very high hill. Chateau Frontenac, go and check it out. It's one of the most impressive buildings that you've ever seen, and people in horse and carts built this stuff. Of course they didn't. It's ridiculous, right? This is all to do with a whole reset of society, which is what we're going through right now. And you can see it's just like a massive indoctrination. And I said to him about this, and he goes, well, that's ridiculous. There's no way they could have done that. And I said, that's my point. That is my point. But the mainstream tells you that's what they did. Why are they doing that? So he can see it to a point, but he can't see as to why. And it obviously has to be, they don't want you to understand how these things were built, and that we had the capabilities of doing these things, you know. So as I said to him, well, if they lie to you about that, what else do they lie about? And then you can see the old light bulb glowing on the top of his head, really, you know, just about glowing. But and then it goes out, and that's as far as it goes, because his background has dictated to him over the years that everything he was taught and everything that he read out of a book is true. Now, maybe a lot of the things are. I personally think that none of them are. I think it's all BS, all of it, right? But when you start looking into these things, as I've said to them, if you want to have a debate, you have to look at both sides, right? Side A and side B. Then you can come to your own logical or gut instinct conclusion to the story. If you don't look at both sides, you have no place to argue. So if we looked at over the last 5 years, side A and side B, and we came to the conclusion that actually side A looks kind of ridiculous now, at least you can turn around to somebody and say, well, I've looked at both sides. And I was talking to my friend's mum, and she said that I need to be more open-minded. I might have said this in another clip. I need to be more open-minded. And I said, I need to be more open-minded? I've looked at both sides. You've only looked at one. Well, when you put it like that, I said, exactly. That's the point I'm getting at. Is that unless you look, you're never going to be able to make a definitive decision on what feels right and what feels wrong. So with all these things that are going on and continue to go on, and you know, next year, of course, in France, we've got the wonderful Olympic Games. Oh, well, I think they've got breakdancing in it or something for the first time for the Olympics. But let's have a look at that and see exactly what they put on display on the opening ceremony. It doesn't, you know, if you look back at the English one, British one with Russell Brand and all that, the child catcher and all that, it doesn't take much to work it out if you've looked at both sides. You know, there's a demonic agenda going on here. And when it really kicks off, there's going to be a lot of people that really don't know what to do. And I'm not saying I'm going to know what to do, but at least I'm going to have a go. You know, I'm not going to just lie back and take it up the jacksie. But when you start looking at these things and you start to think to yourself, well, why are they pushing these things? That's the question, because if you agree that they're doing this, then you have to ask the question of why. And I was watching a video. I had a message on Skype from Mr. Fifth Letter of the Alphabet. I'll use that because sometimes when you mention his channel name, you get removed. Funny that, isn't it? But anyway, Mr. Fifth Letter of the Alphabet. And he sent me a message on Skype about having a chat again, because we did a little podcast chat a little while ago about rock bands and the old T-virus, which is his big thing. We sat and watched a thing from 2019 where in New Jersey became the first state where they will basically, in short form, criminalise parents who disagree with their children's decision to have bits chopped off themselves and try and change them into something that they're not. 8 to 10-year-olds, right? So I won't put a link in to this because again, I'll get taken down, but it's bonkers suggestions of what they want to do. Now, they could be putting that stuff out just to bamboozle people like us, or they could be putting it out in plain sight, which is what I think they're doing. There was another character on there, another billionaire, who suggests it's a great idea, a regenerator, the fountain of youth, to be drinking children's blood. Right, now this is on mainstream media. So are they just throwing it out there again to kind of just wind people like us up, so we turn around and go, look, they're telling you what they're doing? I don't know, but they're obviously up to something, aren't they? Right? I mean, if I did that, people think I was out of my mind, wouldn't they? I'd get locked up. But these billionaires can do it, and it's just a very, very interesting subject. And the sun's just coming through, look at that, beautiful. And I was talking to a good friend of mine, a singer, and we're actually doing some more work together, which is brilliant because she's awesome. And I started dropping the old T-virus bomb on her because she mentioned Lady Boy Dada, and I said, well, when you start looking at these characters, I went through the 5 major points of human bone structure anatomy, and she was like, oh, I probably thought I was going completely mad, but once you start to look at it again, you start to see the deception behind the entertainment business. Something that I mailed a guy yesterday in New York from one of the companies that I work with, who sent me a very uplifting message a few months ago, and I said, you know, we've come to the conclusion, or I have especially, that our business, the entertainment business, is corrupt beyond belief, right? And that everything that they do is done with such bad intent, you know, and it put me off. It put me off doing what I love to do. And then I thought to myself, do you know what? The only way you're ever going to beat these characters, whether it's frequency-wise, morally-wise, energy-wise, is to do the complete opposite. So it was like, fuck you. I'll do what I want to do, but I'm going to do it with good intent, with great intent. So when this friend of mine, and she sends me some vocals she's done, and it puts a lump in my throat and lifts the hairs up on the back of my neck, then I know that that's done with good intent. No agenda to it other than the fact that it's good frequency, good music, and it's uplifting. And that's what we need to be aiming at. So there's so much more. 2024 is going to be an interesting year, I'm sure. I would suggest anybody that watches this for any reason at all, if you have family and so on, you've got to be prepared for when the lights go out. You've got to be prepared for when they turn the water off. You never know, you know. Prepping is a very important thing. That's why you have a spare wheel in your car in case you get a flat, right? Just think about it. Not being able to go and get food, not being able to go and get fuel for the car. If you're shut up indoors and you've got everything you need, you can sit it out for a few months, you'll be fine, right? The last thing you want to do is be running around with the crazies fighting over toilet roll or petrol or whatever, right? That's a super important thing to consider. And it will help you out in the long run. But on that note, rather than ramble on, I just wanted to show you here. I don't know if you can see this, maybe you can. So it's December the 22nd. It's actually the eve of Festivus for the rest of us, which is what we're celebrating this year. These are buds coming out on the new trees already. This has got nothing to do with global climate warming, freezing change. This is just the way it is at the moment. And it's great to see these buds coming out already. And it's fantastic. So looking forward to next year. Anyway, that's about all I've got to say at the moment. We've got some new stuff coming up. We've got some new music coming out, like I've said before. Got an amazing track called Tested the Water that our dear friend has sung on. It's fantastic. And looking forward to an interesting year next year. So everybody, whatever you're doing over this holiday season, hope you enjoy what you're doing and you enjoy your family members and appreciate everybody that's around you, and that you all uplift each other for the next stage of this interesting and somewhat exciting agenda. Okay, that's it. Over and out. Oh, the old Def Leopard. Yeah, on that agenda note, it's like I was clocking Blabbermouth, checking out some news, some of these bands, you know, see what's going on, and I pull up the poor old fellas in the old Def Leopard, and if you look at the the bass drum head, the front head decal, for years it's always been Def Leopard, right? And then I clocked the old 2023 Australia, and there's Mr. Allen's drumhead, which now has the pyramid with the all-seeing eye and the sun and so on. And it's like, why would you put that in there? All these years, why would you put that in there? Right? It's just another one of those things. You know, what do they suddenly realise in their 60s or whatever old they are, that this was a really cool image? You know, let's put what's on the $1 bill on there, shall we? No, that's because they are showing the characters that have given them success. I'm not saying that they're not talented, right? But they're showing where their loyalty lies. If I did that, people would just laugh at me and think I was an idiot, right? But they get away with it because that's what they are, music royalty. Now, why would you do that after all these years? Gradually, they've gone from just the name, then they had the red pyramid with Def Leopard in there, and now they've got the whole kit and caboodle. Why is that? Why are they all doing this? This goes back to the old video of that I did with all the one eyes, the whispers, the hands in the jacket and all this, just looking like a total bunch of bellends, the lot of them, right? And there you go, there they were, I think it was a month or so ago, whatever, with a big old one eye on there and all this kind of stuff. They have to show where their loyalty lies, and where their loyalty lies ain't going to end well for them in the end.
It looks like an early fall. The grain hasn't started to ripen. The corn hasn't grown very tall. But I'm falling in love with you, baby. It looks like an early fall.